And hello again, everyone. I'm Leah Secondo. Welcome to episode number 2 of the Longstreth post-game show. Today, just moments ago, the U.S. squad tying Spain 1-1 in Pool Play B. And at this point, they pick up a point finally here at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Here to break down today's action. We're so glad to have a trio of coaches with great experience, well known around the country. First from Penn, getting ready to start her 15th season, is Colleen Fink, as the Quakers certainly have made their mark in the Ivy League and expect to do so again this season. Our second guest, the Holy Cross the Holy Cross, the Boston College head coach, making her mark certainly in the Greenfield area as a high school player, moving on to Wake, where she won 2 national championships and an Olympian, Kelly Doughton. And also joining us on the show today, the associate head coach at Penn State, where she was a 4-time All-American, and Laura Gebhardt. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. The U.S. squad, again, picking up that point. They struggled a little bit early on. They showed some signs coming out of the first initial pass back and really that nice throw down the field for a couple of minutes. Then they had some trouble trying to sustain activity in the offensive end of the field. Colleen, we'll start with you first. Some of your thoughts on what the U.S. did better than game number 1 and what they can look to improve on here in moving forward to game 3.
Yeah, honestly, I was excited with the way we started. I thought Meredith Shoulder in those opening minutes showed a lot of upbeat tempo. She was really engaged. I think we started on our front foot. I think we were a little bit more prepared, both physically, mentally, emotionally. I think some of those first game jitters were evident in that Argentina match, and I think we kind of got over that hump. So I was really happy with the way, we started the match. I think there were a bit of lulls. I think we got stretched a little bit at times defensively where we were creating pockets for them to just, play it inside and touch it back outside. And that's what was creating a lot of transition against us. Very happy to see some excitement with the utilization of Maddie Zimmer offensively. So I think a lot of really fun things to talk about today.
Kelly, as an Olympian, and you're watching, great defender in your day on the field. Kelsey Bing played an incredible game of goal, and it could have easily been a much different slighted way towards Spain, even though the stats showed that way. Some of your thoughts on that back side of the field and how it translated in what Kelsey did in goal.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great goalkeeper behind me for my tenure on the team with Amy Tron back there, all-world goalkeeper. And I think as a defender, you have a lot more confidence when you know that you have a solid keeper and Bing behind there. She made some incredible saves. I think the defense, especially the defensive penalty corner unit, they kind of stood on their heads as well. And, I think if you look at the statistics from the game, and showed David Passmore that, you're going to get kind of dominated on that side and still get a point out of it, he'd be pretty happy. But it's awesome to get that first point out of the way. And a tie at this point is good.
Right. And actually, there was one point in that third quarter where Spain had 6 penalty corners in a row. So great job by the defense. Laura, your phone was blowing up after that goal by the United States squad, and no doubt about it that Fia had a great touch there in turn for that goal. Her development as a player and the quick turnaround to be ready to play at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely phenomenal. The build-up, we have to give huge kudos to Ashley Hoffman. Yeah. And we were all debating during the game, like, give Ashley that assist. That was phenomenal. But there were so many amazing parts that led to that goal. Right. So first and foremost, congrats to the team for that awesome finish, and Fia for putting it away. We love that. For Fia, the trajectory she's taken from March when she went to centralized training with the team to now has been phenomenal. I mean, she's always been a goal scorer, and that's, in her blood and what she brings to the table. But it's her development in all those other areas of the game that is making her, a contributor on the field, on the press, and, being dangerous on the attack. So it's been fun to watch her just continue to get better, not just with the goal scoring, but on so many different facets of the game.
Yeah, her story is so interesting. I had an opportunity before a broadcast to actually dive into. There was a piece done on her struggles with anxiety and what she goes through, and an incredible story. If you're ever looking for it, it's on YouTube. She talks first person about her struggles and where she is as a young lady that's certainly going to go on to do great things. And you had mentioned the buy-in that even her professors and everything had to allow her the opportunity to train with the U.S. squad, which is everybody really has to buy into that process, don't they?
They do. And, she's really fortunate. She had an incredible village around her to make that happen. And, Fia is such a mature individual that she did that due diligence of communicating with her professors and the coaching staff of figuring out a way to make it work. Of course, everybody was going to figure out a way to make this work because what an incredible opportunity. But, that all started with Fia of, really dictating what she wanted to go after and the way she wanted to go after it. And, first and foremost, she wanted to take care of the academic side and, her aspirations, longer term after field hockey and figure out how USA field hockey fits in and how she can still pursue that dream without, compromising anything else. I think that's a very mature approach. And I'm glad that so many people around her could make that happen so that she could fully step into the program, back in March and not feel like she was, skipping out on anything else or not giving her full self to whatever endeavor she was putting herself into. So I think her taking care of that allowed her to step in fully and be fully present for the USA training.
Mm-hmm. The Gladio's goal was scored on a big save, the opposite end of the field by Bing, and also a goal line save, but defensive save by Hoffman. The outlet, the clear really quick up. They actually kind of took a page a little bit out of what Argentina did against them in game number 1 on one of their goals early on to set up the lone goal today by the U.S. squad. The game progresses. There was a flurry also at the end of the second quarter where the defense, there were a couple of miscues on some corners. Defense coming with some big plays. Bing made 3 spectacular saves going into the half. Any of you take it away as far as, how those saves, well, it was on the defensive side, kind of lifts the team up going into the locker room. And some of the thought process there as they came out in the third, because they did come out with a little spark, a little different spark in that third quarter of play.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the Argentina game, we definitely showed we are potentially a third quarter team, right? Like we came out most aggressive, most locked in, really high tempo. I think that definitely can help with the momentum, those 3 big defensive saves. I think from my perspective, just watching, I think we looked a little bit shook up though defensively in that second quarter. So hopefully they felt like they found their footing in the locker room. Having somebody like Ashley Hoffman hopefully in the locker room and Bing in the locker room is able to reorganize the defense, maybe, set some structural things in place and just, get everybody's heads back on straight and focused in. And hopefully that allowed them to regroup because, as you mentioned, those 6 also back-to-back corners, which I think were in the third quarter. I think that they showed a lot of resolve. I think their first runner did a great job staying line to goal and just breaking everything up, even though sometimes it resulted in a repeat corner. But I think that they defensively look strong while also still looking a little tight at times too. But I think Bing is just so incredible back there. She's always ready. She's very anticipatory. She's capable of, being ready for any quick readjustment. So I think if we can weather that type of storm defensively and still come out on a draw, I think hopefully we're set up for success going into the match against Australia next.
Anyone else want to elaborate on anything that Colleen just said there?
Yeah, I think that's the verbiage I use is weather in the storm. And if you get out of there unscathed without giving up a goal, it's almost like okay, it's a deep breath. They've faced it before. You know what I mean? They've faced it. They had, like I said, a good opponent in Argentina, so they know everyone's going to come after them. But like I said, to get out of there with a tie is defensively is a win.
The other thing to note there, the number's lopsided, right? But the errors in the game appeared to be fixable errors, right? A foot leads to a corner. A foot outside the circle leads to, another free hit that leads to a quick play that leads to 4 shots that the Bing is able to save quickly. Laura, would you agree? All fixable items, moving forward here is now the prep turns to Australia?
Absolutely. And I think that's what the positive is. Some of the technical breakdowns, more likely than not, are still tied to some of those Olympic nerves that as we get deeper into the pool play, can we eradicate some of that, play our game? All these women are fully capable of trapping the ball cleanly and, avoiding the ball hitting their foot in the circle. So these are very fixable things. And I think that is what makes it so positive going into the next game. Can we just adjust, and maybe it's just the mental component, and again, getting a little bit more used to that Olympic stage, and then we just play our game and we're not making those mistakes to put us in situations where we have to weather the storm, and instead we can dictate the play a little bit more and generate a little bit more, threatening opportunities on our end of the field instead.
Excellent. Well, we have to take a quick time out here on the show. When we come back, we'll have much more ahead for you on the Longstreth postgame show. The U.S. tying Spain earlier today, 1-1. And welcome back to the Longstreth postgame show. I'm your host, Leah Secondo, and we continue on here with the conversation regarding the U.S. tying Spain 1-1. Pool play B. This is the qualifying round. Of course, you're just trying to get out of your qualifying pool to get to that next level. Kelly, you've had experience being there. You understand, what the mentality is prior to preparation, to being a player at that level and that stage, what it takes once you get there. First couple of days, I'm sure for you was a little bit different. You posted some great pictures of the opening ceremonies and some of the fun that goes around it, but the focus changes as it progresses through. And what's the mentality right now with the U.S. squad in this situation as they prep now for Game 3?
Well, I hope it's confidence. I said it before, the best team that they could have played opening round was Argentina. Mm-hmm. Like they're number one in that pool for a reason. They're talking about being in the gold medal game, and with the exception of a couple of goals, missed marks and everything like that, I think that it's a 2-1 game, not a 4-1 game. So, I think, get those jitters out. You hear the anthem. I mean, I got chills watching them. You've been there, but as soon as the ball gets into play and the game starts, you don't know you're in the Olympics. You're going to play Argentina. And we ironically played Argentina opening round of 2008. And again, there are butterflies. We ended up tying them, and that gave us confidence. And hopefully they, with this tie against Spain, who, beat GB, who's going to be number 2? Who's going to be number 3 in the pool? And if I'm the U.S., knowing that, statistically what they did in this game and they still got a tie, if they're playing just even 1% to 2% better, they can beat Australia. And hopefully they have that confidence to do so, because, right now Argentina should be, number 1 if something crazy happens. Someone they could beat, they could be beaten, but you can be in that 2 to 4 range, and that's going to be the focus. You don't want to be obviously 5 and 6. You want to be in the 2 to 4 range, and have that confidence.
Laura, you've had an opportunity to play against Maddie Zimmer. We talked about Maddie Zimmer quite a bit. We wanted to hear her name more during the game. What does the U.S. squad need to do to get Maddie some touches? And obviously the scout changes, right, a little bit with Australia. It's not about just getting it in Maddie's hands. There needs to be some development there with maybe Meredith Shoulder and some other players as well.
Absolutely. I think we can all agree the more often we get the ball in Maddie Zimmer's hands, the more exciting things happen. She's such a dynamic player who is going to generate some opportunities for us. So I think, any way that we can find a way to get her the ball it's great. I think Spain was starting to pick up on that, from the very beginning, was deterring the ball from getting to Maddie Zimmer. I think she was so impactful in that first game that was somewhat strategic. So if we can just find opportunities to get her the ball, and when that does shut down, can we have Meredith Shoulder being just like her dynamic self and being that distributor that she is, and bringing other midfielders into the fold. So while we would love Maddie Zimmer to get the ball as much as possible, and let's find a way to do that, can we have our other midfielders step up so that's, we have other opportunities generating if we can't get the ball to that our super fast, super dynamic player on the right.
Right, absolutely. And, even Ashley Sessa, right? Ashley scored the first goal of these Olympic Games for the U.S. squad. We really didn't hear any sustained attack with Ashley's name attached to it. I want to say it was like the third quarter. I think I had marked it down on my notes. That's one thing. Our corners, right? Maybe a little bit more deception. In our first episode, we talked about maybe having a little bit more deception, and maybe the U.S. Scott Tupper said maybe they're holding something back. I don't know. But there were only 2 corners today, so we didn't have that opportunity to see the deception. Colleen, from an offensive standpoint, what do you think the U.S. needs to carry into this third match coming up?
Yeah, I think, one thing we were discussing during the game was just having that midfield and attacking front take a little bit of pressure off the defense while being able to sustain possession, while not allowing such threatening entries, by having that cover player, obviously I don't know what's being said inside the locker room, but just being a little bit more guided in terms of just disallowing some threatening balls through the center. But I do think that we are completely capable with, the likes of Thea and Ashley Sessa. And, like I said, I think I really like Meredith Shoulder through the middle. And then obviously Maddie Zimmer. And then you also have, the strength of like a player like Jaeger, a younger player. But, I think that we have all the personnel to be able to sustain that possession. I think it's just, being able to, in my opinion, seeing the play before it's happening. I think, watching Argentina, they give it and get it so quickly that even if they fumble the possession or the reception, they still have that split second because we're being, the defense is reacting to the ball. Whereas I think, we're just maybe hanging on just a second too long. Then if we are fumbling that reception, it's a mistrap. Now we're giving the ball right back. So I think we have to actually do a better job alleviating some of the pressure of the defense, and giving them a minute to regroup, instead of just having this influx of, having to redefend.
Mm-hmm. To follow up on that, you mentioned Beth Jaeger, who played Princeton, and just some of your thoughts on Beth's development from what you have seen and scouted her days at Princeton to what you're seeing on the field now with the U.S. squad.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Beth Jaeger play since, she was younger and, high school and even like middle school player. She was always a standout. She's always on the top of a scouting report when we go into that Princeton matchup. You obviously see her as a corner unit shooter. She has a lethal drag flick when she connects. We didn't get a chance to see that, result in any goals today, but right. When she does connect and when she puts a top shelf or, around the frame, she can really put the ball in the goal cage. I think she's very similar to Maddie Zimmer in her style of play. She's strong on the ball. She's got quick hands. I think her and Zimmer's biggest assets are their ability to utilize their change of speed. I think in the last show you talked a lot about Maddie getting to top speed being her big game element, but I honestly think the way that they lull the defender to take that second to reset and then that explosive change of speed is what makes players like Zimmer as well as Beth Yeager so threatening offensively. So that combination of her being a scoring threat on the corner unit and then her strength in possession, I think if we can get her the ball even more, I think positive things will happen similar to Maddie Zimmer.
Kelly, from your experience on the international play and then being on the Olympic stage, is it a little bit overwhelming the first few times you step on that international stage? The pace of the game against your opponents, and then where did you find your zen finally and feel really comfortable? I know you're a very confident person, you're very confident player, but where did you really find your zen as you progressed along at that international level?
No, I know it's cliche, but basketball players do it. The venue is very intimidating. When you walk in that venue, it's the biggest venue that you played in. But then, knowing that they played Argentina so many times, we went down to Argentina so many times playing in front of 10,000, so like I said, the comfort for me would be to rely on what we do well, and that's play field hockey. So as soon as the game starts, you're in it. That crowd looked awesome. When I first saw the venue, I'm like, I hope they fill that, and they did. They're getting some great crowds, and I know the U.S. is loving it. But I want to just credit again the defense, because they're missing one of their key players in Jillian Wolgemuth, and it's you're asking Kelly LePage and Leah Krause to take on so much more ownership. And it's not like they've had this opportunity to go to a pro league and play 10, 15, 20 games as a unit. And when one player goes down, especially from the backfield, it doesn't just affect them. It affects everyone, especially the midfield. So they're doing a great job, but they're comfortable now. They, 2 games under their belt, they're pretty comfortable. And the excitement's still there, when the game starts, but like I said before, I hope they have some confidence that they can beat Australia, but they got to play.
They got to play. Colleen, really quick, before we head to break, your brother wrote a fantastic story on The Athletic, and Kelly just said that she thought the venue would be awesome, filled up. Briefly tell us a little bit about that story and where the people can find that story on the internet.
Absolutely. Thanks for the plug. My brother will appreciate it. Yeah, Brendan Quinn, he's a journalist for The Athletic. He's there covering various things for The Athletic and the Olympic Games, but he did a really cool piece on the venue itself, one of the oldest venue that dates back to the original Paris Olympics. If anyone's familiar with Chariots of Fire, the story of the first Black athlete to medal in the Olympic Games from the U.S. It's just an incredible story. It's about the history of the venue and how historic it is that the women of the U.S. and the other 11 teams involved are competing there. So I hope the women on the U.S. team know that story. I hope that's a part of their journey in all of this, that they're doing a walk through time. And I definitely encourage anyone to visit The Athletic. You can just search by Brendan Quinn and find the article there.
Excellent. Well, thank you on that. And we're going to take a quick timeout once again. We will be back to wrap this one up after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Longstreth post-game show. Laura Gephardt, Colleen Fink, and Kelly Doughton joining us today on episode number 2. The U.S. tying Spain a few moments ago, 1-1. And ladies, we look ahead now to Wednesday's 7:15 in the morning Eastern Standard Time match against Australia. We'll start you first with you, Laura. Some of your thoughts as the focus now turns to the number 3 team in the world, 2-time world champion and program internationally that has 3 gold medals. Just some of your thoughts on them.
I mean, no big deal.
We got this, right?
Right. I think a combination of a few things. The team's about to see a very different style than they've faced in the past 2 matches. So it's how do we adapt to that and wholly different game plan. And so I'm sure that is, ready to roll out from the coaching staff. It's how quickly can the players adapt to that and just realign to a different opponent. I think it's important to take care of some of the things that, were cropping up in the past few games for us that are very fixable, like we talked about. But can we make those adjustments so that we're showing up as the best U.S. team we can show up as on Wednesday? So it's preparing for that very different opponent, very high level, high quality opponent, and also taking care of ourselves and making sure, just not just the physical, mental, emotional aspect that we need to adjust on and recover properly and all that good stuff, but ensuring that we're clear on the game plan and prepared to step in and fully execute what the coaching staff has put together and what the team has put together.
Kelly or Colleen?
Yeah, I just reiterate what Laura said. I think just don't shoot yourself in the foot. You know what I mean? If Australia comes out and has the statistics that they had in this game and you get beat by them, they're number 3 in the world. It's going to be a tough game, but and I'm not saying you need to play perfect, but if they're going to win, make them beat you. But the U.S. will be ready. I think athletically, we've always been fit. We've always been fast. That's who you're going to face against Australia. You're going to have to put more balls on the cage and more than 2 corners to give yourself a chance. But just tighten up some of those things and give it a go.
Colleen, Australia 1-0 coming into today. Their match starts shortly at 11 a.m. our time against Great Britain. Some of your thoughts against this juggernaut in Australia?
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch this game as well. Just doing some FIH, coursework and being able to scout Australia over the last year. They definitely, I agree with Laura, play a very different style. Their off ball movement can create a lot of challenges for defenses. So I'm going to be really interested to see how Great Britain, but then also the United States decides to deal with that. They like to play narrow through the center, and then they'll be really explosive out and then attack the outsides and the baseline in the attacking third. So I'm really excited to see how we handle that off-ball movement from a defensive perspective. But really what I'm excited about is to try to see what we can get going offensively, and can we sustain some offense and some possession and find our footing on that end of the ball. Like I said, to take some of that pressure off of our defense, even if it's just for stretches of time. Obviously, it's not sustainable for a whole match, but I think that's what I'm really excited to see, that another opportunity for us to get back out there and see what we can create offensively.
Right. The stats actually showed time of possession 55-45, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of sustained possessions by the U.S. squad. Otherwise, right now, as far as final action is concerned, China with a 5-0 victory over Japan before the U.S. match today. So China's 1-1. Japan is 0-2 now in pool play. It is Ladies' Day on the pitch today as far as field hockey is concerned at the 2024 Olympic Games. Ladies, any other game intriguing to you? Is that Netherlands game against Germany a little bit intriguing, or the South Africa-Argentina game?
I think both. I'd like to see what the score is going to be for the Argentina-South Africa game, but hey, anytime you can watch Holland, they're good.
Pretty good. Colleen or Laura?
I'm just setting up shop in my office all day today and just having that on while trying to get ready for camps and preseason, and a lot of multitasking happening in the Penfield hockey office today, but we'll definitely be locked into some of those games. And also just from a coaching perspective, it's always great to pull some ideas away from
Sure.
some of these high level games. So
Right.
very
Right.
excited to watch.
Right, absolutely. And as you guys are fully aware and are prepping for, I know a lot of you are like involved in camps and different things, but gosh, the season, thank goodness, is just around the corner. And it's going to be exciting all across the country this year with teams changing conferences and stuff. So we're all definitely looking forward to that. We've got to get through these next 2 weeks first, though, and have our U.S. squad get into that next round of play. Well, as we wrap this one up, looking ahead here now, the U.S. squad will be playing on Wednesday, a day off. Make sure you start your morning out right. 7:15 in the morning, they'll be taking on Australia, and you can catch that one on E. And of course, as well, you want to make sure that you tell all your friends about our show, which you can find here on YouTube, and share the link, subscribe, and give a shout out. We're trying to grow our game as many ways as we possibly can, and certainly this is one piece of it to do so. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. I know it's extremely valuable, especially this time of year, because once season starts, forget it, right? Things are motoring on right through to November, but certainly really appreciate all of your time.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks
Absolutely.
so much.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon down the road. And again, to everyone, we appreciate you as well as we wrap this one up today with the U.S. squad tying Spain 1-1. They will play now next on Wednesday at 7:15 in the morning. So that means you will see us here on YouTube 30 minutes from the conclusion of that game against Australia. And once again, we thank you and make it a great day.